So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, we made it to the All-Star break, where the weekend has a slightly new format, which should be pretty interesting to see go down, and we definitely have plenty to discuss as a result of it. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is the most fun way to play daily fantasy sports to win up to 100 times your original entry. It's so easy to get involved as well. All you have to do is pick 2 or more players, pick more or less than their projected stats, and place your entry. While we're all basketball fans here, they do offer pretty much any sport you can think of to choose from and play, so there are so many different ways to play and so many potential combinations that are unbelievable. PrizePicks also offers tons of special promos regularly, such as Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday, so you don't want to miss those for big matchups as well to take advantage. For this week, I'm going to be going with Ryan Nembhard to score over 10.5 points in my personal entry. To take advantage of this though, to go sign up, go down to the link in the description and use promo code REFERENCE to get $50 added to your account once you play just $5. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Savvy, and he says that the 76ers should just make the decision to tank the rest of the year because at this point their season cannot be saved. The Sixers have easily been one of the most disappointing teams this season, and every time they start to look like they're putting it together, something new pops up that sets them back in a big way. Joel Embiid started the year still not 100% healthy from the torn meniscus that he suffered last season, and swelling in that knee has continually haunted him since then. Every time he returns to the court and starts to put together a good stretch of play, the swelling comes back, and then he misses another few weeks, and without him, the Sixers have been a disaster. Tyrese Maxey's efficiency has tanked since being thrusted into a lead role, and while he is scoring a lot of points, putting up just shy of 28 points per game, his shooting splits have been below average, and it hasn't been enough most nights to keep the team afloat. Paul George has also been one of the worst signings in the entire NBA, which is crazy because all the Sixers needed from him was for him to be better than Tobias Harris had previously been for the team, and he hasn't even been able to be that. At 34 years old, Paul George's play has fallen off a cliff, and with him signed to a supermax deal for 3 more years, that contract is going to be even more problematic than Tobias Harris's max contract was for them. Even with all of these unfortunate truths coming about though, they're still only a game and a half out of that play-in tournament, which is why it's still so difficult to admit defeat and just choose to tank. With the Bulls having just traded away Zach LaVine too, that 10th seed spot is up for grabs, and through it all, it's not crazy for the Sixers to hope that by the end of the season they can get past these injury woes, because at full strength they would be the best team in the play-in tournament with a good chance of snagging that 8 seed. They've also beaten both the Cavaliers and the Celtics this season, which is pretty much the only silver lining that has come about for them this year, but it does show that at their best, they can at least put up a fight with the best of the best, and while in the long run, it probably won't amount to anything, that kind of glimmer of hope is typically all that's needed for a team to keep pushing. It would realistically be for the best for them to just shut Embiid down, have him get surgery on his knee to allow a full recovery, and try again next year, but in actuality, getting the franchise and Embiid himself to buy into a plan like that is probably a lot less likely. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Brendan, and he says that the Pistons are good enough to pull off a big upset in the playoffs over one of the more established contenders in the East this year. The Pistons have been stuck in the basement of the Eastern Conference for a very long time, so to see them with a winning record 2/3 of the way through the season is pretty shocking in the best way possible, and now we're at a point where we do genuinely have to ask ourselves how good they really can be. At 29 and 26, they're in 6th place in the Eastern Conference standings, sitting pretty in the playoff hunt, hoping to avoid the play-in tournament altogether. Cade Cunningham's game is developing beautifully now, playing like one of the best guards in the entire league, performing like the franchise cornerstone that he was expected to be when the team took him number 1 overall in the draft, as he's putting up 25.4 points and 9.4 assists per game, which ranks 3rd best in the NBA this year. He also has the 3rd highest usage rate in the league this season, behind only Giannis Antetokounmpo and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, so he truly is the driving force behind so much of what they do. Last season, the Pistons were severely lacking in perimeter shooting threats and ranked as one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, so they brought in Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Tobias Harris to address that, and now they're ranked 13th in the league in three-point shooting, which is a huge improvement. Overall on offense, the team ranks 15th, and overall on defense, they rank 12th in the league, which is very solid, but it also shines a light on the fact that they're hovering in that average to above average range, and realistically, while it's exciting to see them break into the playoffs with this core, I don't think they're ready to go toe-to-toe with the best quite yet. The Knicks would be who they face in the first round if the playoffs were to start right now, and I'm still taking the Knicks in 5 games in that series, but playoff experience alone is going to be huge for the growth of this young Pistons team, and in the near future, they will absolutely be a force to be reckoned with. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jamal, and he says that he would rather have DeMar DeRozan's career than Paul George's career overall, because at least DeRozan has stayed healthy consistently. It's interesting how lowly DeMar DeRozan tends to be regarded when compared to his longtime all-star caliber peers around him, yet this take comes about and made me pause and really think about things. Paul George's game is very aesthetically pleasing for sure, don't get me wrong, there's a reason why a lot of the younger generation have him as one of their favorite players growing up, but in terms of pure results and production, his career may be slightly overrated, and this comparison to DeMar DeRozan really opened my eyes to that fact. Paul George helped the Pacers make a conference finals once over a decade ago, and then in 2021, he helped the Clippers make it there as well, but DeRozan has also helped the Raptors make it to the conference finals back in 2019, so the notion that George is more of a winner is pretty exaggerated, especially when you consider how much George's Clippers teams consistently underperformed, yet DeRozan is the one that's labeled as a losing player pretty unfairly. Both DeRozan and George have finished in the top 3 of the MVP race once. DeRozan actually has more seasons than Paul George, averaging 24 or more points per game, and with DeRozan being a year older than George, he's way better right now too, proving that he is winning the longevity battle. I don't think the original take is that insane at all, and yet when you first hear the take like that, it seems outlandish until you actually break everything down. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.